Hi, my name is Micah Rowland, and I wanted to give you a brief bit of knowledge about the story I'm about to tell. So the story I'm about to tell happened in right after the Civil War actually ended, in the 1800s, and the Civil War was of course won by the North, and so the Southerners, there was a lot of contempt and anger that had boiled from them, not just from losing the war, but from also losing all the monetary wealth and other things that they thought was extremely important to their survival. And so, but I didn't want to tell this story myself. I wanted to tell it through the eyes of one of the individuals that lived in that time. So now I will pass the story along to somebody that can recount it from a first-person point of view. So I woke up and I'm looking around, and it is my house. I see all the nice furnishings and the draped walls. However, this is not the energy I'm used to waking up to. The house has a dull, dark, and clammy atmosphere about it. It feels as if death has kind of settled on this abode. And so, as I'm looking around, I see nobody, which is quite strange. Normally, once somebody hears me moving around, I have a maid or some other person coming and rushing to my aid. However, this is not happening today. And so, I get up and I walk to the door, and I open it up, and I look down the hallway and still see no one. The only sound and light is emanating from a lantern on the wall. And as I walk, I see a newspaper on the table it has a screenshot of me speaking at at a event. And I remember one of my guards telling me that they had heard rumors of a failed kidnapping of me. And I was perplexed by this because, of course, I've never had somebody try to do this. And so I headed down the hallway again, and I reached a room, and I peered through the room, and I realized that there's everyone I know. There's my lovely wife, Mary, and the Major, Rathbone, who I know very well, and his wife, and they're all huddled around this table, and it seems that someone has died, but I don't have any recollection of who could have died, let alone why would they bring him to my house. And I see on the table a body draped with linens, and I'm quite hesitant to look under those linens. However, my curiosity gets the better of me, and as I am about to peel it up, my eyes open, and I'm back in my bed. And the feeling of death over the room is gone, and I realize it must have just been a dream of mine, and though it's quite shaken me. So I get up and I get ready and I head downstairs, and I find my wife Mary, as beautiful as always, and she is lounging on our sofa, and she's reading the newspaper, and she looks up to me and she says, "Honey, have you heard about the comedy show that's tonight?" And I had not, so I was curious, and I walked over and looked at the newspaper, and sure enough, there was a comedy show that was being advertised. And so I asked my wife if she would like to attend it with me, and she said yes, and she said perhaps Major Rathbone and his wife would accompany us too in our private box. And so we get ready and we leave, and we take a walk to our chaperone, and we get escorted to this lovely comedy show. And as we arrive, we open the door, and we make our way down the hallway and up a flight of stairs, and I see the familiar private box where I would watch the comedy show. And I could already hear it going on, so obviously we were a bit late. But I noticed that the guard that normally guarded this room was absent. And I almost thought I saw a glimpse of somebody that I recognized that usually guarded me disappearing towards the cellar, but what was it if we didn't have a guard for a day? And so I strided along and I opened the door to my talk box. And I thought I noticed that it wasn't locked like it usually was, but I paid it no heed. And so I walked to my normal seat, and I found Major Rathbone and his wife sitting next to me. We exchanged pleasantries, and I sat down, and Mr. Rathbone looks at me and he goes, "How are you doing, Abe?" And I nodded because I was doing fine, but I still felt that unease. I felt that dream gnawing at the back of my head, and it was kind of draining my energy. I felt my hand of my wife take mine, and she looked at me. She said, "Please, Abe, take care and do not fret. It will all be okay." And I think she was referring to the Confederacy and how the war had just ended, so I let it go. And as I started to enjoy the play, I forgot about all my worries. And then I heard somebody coming up the stairs, but it was in the back of my head. And then suddenly I hear the door burst open, and I'm quite startled. I hear somebody scramble behind me, and I hear, "Abe!" And bang! My vision goes black. And as I'm drifting along, falling deeper and deeper into this darkness, suddenly I wake, and I'm back in the room of the dream, with the somber death-like curtains falling on my house. And I see nobody again, but the lantern is, and the only illumination comes from the lantern on the wall. And I suddenly realize that I do not walk, I glide. And as I glide down the hallway, I find that the reason the people are gathered around is because, of course, somebody is dead. But what I realize now is that the reason this body is in my house, as my wife pulls off the drapery from the body, revealing my face, and I realize that I am no longer alive, and that dream was forecasting my own demise. Thank you.